Good afternoon. This is Rosemary Diegnan, and I'm the Chief Strategy and Product Officer with Wazoku. So welcome to our highlights from our product roadmap. So for those who don't know me, I am responsible for the product development and delivery of the product here at Wazoku. So Happy New Year to everybody. And what I want to do today is take you through our recent feature releases, some things I just want to highlight that you may not have yet seen. So I want to introduce you officially to Product Delights, which some of you may have noticed. We've been releasing what we call Product Delights. So I want to take you through that. Then I want to do some highlights from our roadmap and leave plenty of time for questions and a Q&A session. But also, please, if you have any questions in the meantime, at any time, feel free to just drop them into the chat or to the questions, and I'll try to answer them in the context of what I'm talking about. So always love to have people participate, so don't feel shy. Just go ahead and ask your questions at any time. So getting started. So some recent releases I just wanted to point out to you. So the first one is the Discover card and list views. So it's officially the list views are currently available, but we are also, and I know some people have already taken advantage of and started to use the new card view. So this has been a long time coming for any of our longer term customers. They will know we've been working on this for quite some time. And one of the things we were trying to achieve with the new card design is a simpler, more streamlined design that would also have consistency. So no matter where a card might be, it would be consistently the same look and feel, rather than cards looking slightly different on the homepage versus on a challenge. So one of the other things that we wanted to do was, in conjunction with the card view, where we've streamlined it, we've also created a list view. And the list view was really something we've been asked for many, many times from particularly our admin users, our challenge managers. So the idea was that we would make it easier for our admins to view content in a list view, which gives them all the data in a single row. It allows them to view more ideas at once. And by clicking on this, it remembers that that's their preference. So as long as they're not clearing their cache and clearing their cookies, they're going to remember that. So every challenge they go to will have this list view. So what we decided is we'd make sure all the information was available to our admin users, our challenge managers, and then we can make our card view a little bit more simple. We can strip out some of the information there because there's less information that end users necessarily need to see on the list, on the card view. So that was our intent with the card view and the list view in conjunction with each other. Just in case anybody hadn't noticed, we recently added the status and the stage to the list view. So you have all that information. That was an enhancement after our initial release. Another thing you may not have noticed with the cards, and this assumes anybody who wants to see the cards can move on over to the Connect space and take a look at the cards. But one of the things you'll notice is in order to simplify it, the default action is to show the idea in a preview mode. However, you can still get to full mode by clicking here. So you still have that access if you have a preference between full mode or preview, but we simplified the experience so that the cards are less overwhelming. So definitely have a check in Connect, take a look, leave your feedback. If you have questions or comments, please add them to the card here in Connect. We do plan to release this at the end of January, so it will be coming to everybody at the end of January. So another thing that we've recently released is the ability to configure gamification at different levels. So one of the things, we got a lot of feedback from our admins in particular, was that they would like to be able to exclude certain full idea spaces, co-creation communities, or challenges from the awarding of points. So they didn't just not want to show the points on those communities or in those challenges. They didn't want anybody to receive points for activity associated with that content. And the primary reason would be if you're using the idea space or a challenge to do more sort of BAU type work, and so you didn't want there to be them to earn points from that. You can now, at a community level, you can indicate whether or not, just as you can whether or not they can add categories or they can add forms, you can indicate whether or not your community admins should be able to change your settings for gamification. So for example, if you have a parent community and you've decided that that tree, so the parent community and any of its children, should not have gamification turned on, you can turn it off and you can say that your child admins cannot override your decision, or vice versa. You could turn it on and not let them turn it off. And then under membership settings, what you can say is what you want that setting to be. So should you allow individuals to turn on should you allow gamification points to be earned or not be earned? So this can be done at the idea space level, at a co-creation community, and at a challenge. And what it does allow you to do is if you allow your admins to overwrite your settings, it'll default to whatever you set for the parent, but then the individual admins or challenge managers can overwrite that for a particular challenge. So you can generally allow for points to be earned within a community, but then for a specific challenge within that community, turn them off. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, and it gives a lot more, it allows you to reward the behaviors you truly want to reward, rather than just giving everybody points regardless of what they're doing. So another area that we've spent some time on is on groups. So as with with categories and forms, we've now made it so that you can add groups at a community level. So global groups will still be available to you at the community level. So if, just as with categories, so if you have some groups that you're using across the board and you want to use those in your community, you can. But you can also have a community specific group. So this was a functionality that we just needed to bring in to be consistent with the other admin functionality. And again, to really give your community admins the capability of managing their own space. Now, related to that, we've recently added something, and I just wanted to highlight this because this is for our customers that are using SSO, so single sign-on, which a majority of you are. You now have the ability to create an SSO group. And what an SSO group allows you to do, so when you come to create a group, if you choose manual group, you have this new option, if you're an SSO customer, to do an SSO group. What this allows you to do is if you're already creating groups, for example, in your Active Directory, and you want to use those groups within the platform, what you can do is ask your AD admin for the group ID. You can drop that in here. And when you do so, that group is now available to you. What makes that really nice, and even an improvement over these smart groups, is you have complete control over that group at your AD level. So as people come and go, they leave the organization, they change departments, they get more or less rights within your AD, that'll automatically be reflected in the groups on the platform. And then you can use those groups to add people to content, to share to people, to do anything you do with any other group. But you can have that full control in your AD group. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility in how you manage your groups. So that's some of the recent functionality that we've had that I thought it would be worth highlighting. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but if not, I'll move on to our project delights. Okay, so with our product delights, so we recently introduced this, and we did it in a rather unassuming way to just kind of test the groundwork. And the idea behind delights are to do to make small changes to the platform that have the potential to have big impact. And by that, what I mean is to give you functionality that perhaps you traditionally had to come to us and to put in a support ticket and ask us to make a change for you, and give you that functionality at your fingertips within the platform. So these are going to be small little enhancements to the platform that hopefully will help delight your day. So some of the ones we've recently done is unreject an idea. So if you've mistakenly rejected an idea, so in going through a bunch of ideas, you mistakenly reject an idea and you want to immediately unreject it, or a challenge manager needs to unreject it, they can simply unreject the idea. In addition, if you rejected the idea and it was the right decision at the time, but something has changed and you want to revive that idea, you have the option of unrejecting it. So it just gives you that, no more waiting for us to do it for you. You can do it yourself. We've also, in an effort to help your end users and your evaluators in particular, to know what idea they're receiving a notification about, we've added the idea ID to the subject line of email notifications. And what this does, it just lets them know right away what idea it is, so that if they're tracking a particular idea and they just want to see what the notification is and they don't need to do anything, they're all set. They don't have to click into it to see what it is. We'll continue. If you find a notification that you think should have the ID on it and it doesn't, please let us know and we'll go ahead and add it. We've tried to capture all of them. I do know there was one that was missing, which was if you were mentioned in a comment on an idea. We're in the process of fixing that, and that should be out shortly. Another enhancement we've recently made is the ability, you can upload a bunch of users into a community, but you used to automatically, it would send an invite to those new members. You might not be ready for those new members to know that you've created the community and that you've added them. So now you have the option of saying, don't send an invite. What this allows you to do is preload your community, get it all set up, and then when you're ready to, you can do your communications, either through the platform, using the message of centers available to admins and challenge managers, or through another communications stream. Might be through your Teams, Slack, anything it might be. But this gives you that flexibility to decide whether or not you want to invite somebody immediately, or whether you want to get your community all set up before you do that invite. And the most recent delight that we've added is allowing you to change the idea creator. So an admin or a challenge manager can go to a particular idea, and if for some reason you need to update the idea creator, perhaps somebody added an idea on behalf of somebody else and you want to correct that, you can go ahead and do that, no longer needing to come to us to do that for you. You can do it yourself. So those are some of the recent delights we've done. How we choose delights is we look where we've gotten, either we haven't given you the capability within the platform, so it was something you needed to request through support, or in the event that we get a lot of feedback that there's just a small little thing that everybody would like to see different, we do take that. So if you put a need and problem in Connect and we start to see there's a lot of people who care about this, we try to collect those and make those changes. So for example, we will shortly, one of the delights we're working on is the ability to configure your weekly digest and daily summary inside the platform. So you can decide, you can configure within the platform whether or not your weekly digest or your daily summary are on or off by default, instead of relying on us to do that for you and changing that configuration. It also allows you, for example, if you want to stop the daily summaries over the holiday period, you would have that option of doing that, and then you could turn them back on later on. And you can decide whether or not you want to limit the ability of your end users to overwrite your settings. So if you want everybody to be seeing the weekly digest, you can make the decision that it's always on and you can't change that setting. But then you could turn the daily summary off. So your settings can be different for your weekly digest and your daily summary. It's giving you more control over the notifications that are going out and the configuration of your platform, which is something you'll see as I talk about our roadmap and highlights of our roadmap, something we really want to focus on going forward. So hopefully you will get delighted by our delights, but do take a look at the challenge in Connect. Catherine Abram, our new Director of Customer Experience, is running that program. She puts in those delights. You can see the 2 delights that we're working on right now. Ask your questions, give your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. So now I want to jump into where we are with the roadmap and some of the functionality that we're working on right now and what you can expect to see. And I've grouped it into 4 key areas, and I'll talk a little bit about what each of those areas will provide. So the first one is innovation analytics. So something we've known for a while is that customers have been asking us for more and more ability to dig deeper into their data and understand what's happening in the platform. So what we're doing is embedding a new analytics platform into the Wazoku platform, which will give you the ability to see and understand your data much more effectively. So I want to give you a bit of a preview. I will be honest, this is not going to happen immediately. So we're looking at this being released next quarter, but it is something we're working on right now. So you can anticipate receiving it soon. So what you can see here is this is within the platform. You can have all your analytics. You can have different types of analytics. You can have different widgets. You can allow your end users to download the data. They could also export an image. They could even export an entire PDF of the dashboard. And one of the advantages to that is if they want to send a report to senior stakeholders, instead of having to do a bunch of cut and paste and all of that, they can simply download it and send that on to a senior stakeholder. Another thing that can be done is to set up what's called a pulse. And when you set up a pulse, what this allows you to do is send information to individuals or to potentially a Slack channel or a Teams channel or something like that. And so that if you, for example, are running a challenge and you want to celebrate, your goal is to get 200 ideas around a specific problem, and you want to celebrate when you get there, you could set up a pulse that said, when we reach 200 ideas, I want to send a notification into a Teams channel, and so that everybody can see that we've achieved that goal. Or, if you wanted to have, you were running a competition and you wanted to indicate the winner, you could say, when we've selected the winner, it will push it into, could be via email, it could be via Teams, it could be multiple channels to let everybody know. So it's a way to use the analytics as to share information, to push information, as well as to have people come in and get it. So you can push out information much more effectively. Another thing that you will be able to do is embed content and actually pull it up into the modal. So within the dashboard, you could actually pull up the challenge itself. You could see what's happening with the challenge. You've got the full challenge here. So if you were looking at a dashboard and you had this embedded and you wanted to go and do something, you wanted to change a due date, you're looking at your analytics and you're noticing, for example, that it's due to close in a day or two, but you don't quite have the engagement that you would like, you could simply pull this up, go to your manage, change the due date, done. And then you can come back to the dashboard. So it allows you to engage with content within the dashboard itself so that you're not having to jump out and jump back in and run a report and come back. You can do everything right from within the platform. So it gives you a lot more flexibility from that perspective. You can also view a dashboard inside a dashboard. So if this was an overall dashboard, perhaps at a community level, where you had all of the information about all the challenges running in your community, if you wanted to dive into a specific community dashboard, you could go ahead and do that. So now I have a community dashboard. I can see this dashboard. I can filter, and by connecting the various widgets, by filtering one widget, I can filter all my widgets so that I can really get a sense of what's happening across the challenge. And I can get a lot more information, and I can have a lot more different types of widgets available to me. So here, for example, is a heat map. So you can see, when are people coming into the platform? When are they performing particular actions? If you want to see, what are our busiest days of the week? What happens in a particular challenge? That sort of thing. So I see we have a question. So let me just check that real quick. How much of this, which looks awesome, by the way, thank you very much, will be functionality operable on the iOS iPad app? So we are working to make sure that this is, why can I not think of the word I'm trying to think of? Available on all devices. Let me just go with that. So yes, the intent is you will be able to view this on your other devices, because one of the things we do feel that this is going to be a real opportunity for you to drive your stakeholders, particularly your senior stakeholders, into the platform. Because the other thing you'll be able to do with this is build dashboards for specific audiences. So if you wanted, for example, to have dashboards for your admin users so that they can see what's going on, who's running challenges, who's managing communities, you don't have to make that available to everybody. You can make that available to a subset of people, but you could also have a senior stakeholder dashboard, which would be high-level data that they would really be interested in, but still allow what I just showed you, that drilling in, so that they can participate, they can drill down if they want to. So we definitely want to make it available on other devices, so that mobile devices, so that we know a lot of senior stakeholders, that's how they're accessing the data. So we want to make it accessible, and as accessible as possible. So definitely. So you can also embed the dashboards in different places. So I just showed you a challenge dashboard. That dashboard can actually be embedded right inside the challenge, so that you can, and you can decide who should be able to see that data. So do you want to make it visible to everybody? Do you want to make it just an admin dashboard? It's up to you. And then you can also do reporting and do much more interactive reporting than what we currently support. So right now we have a report builder. It does allow you to build some good solid reports. However, those are all exports to an Excel spreadsheet. This will give you the capability of actually engaging with the content, again, right within the report itself. So in this case, I could look up a person. I could see, oh, I wanted to see Abby. I want to see what ideas she's added, where the status is of those, if I needed to do something with that. But you could also have this work with an idea report, so that if you were looking at a report, you had a challenge and you were looking about a report about a challenge, you'd be able to click on that idea, update that idea, progress it, reject it, send it back, ask for more information, and stay within the platform. Again, this is about giving you a lot more flexibility within the platform and allowing you to stay within the platform and do the things you need to do. So this is really exciting. We will be adding, as we build this out and as it gets ready for prime time and we can add it into the platform, which will be next quarter, we will keep you updated about the progress that we're making. We'll make sure that we keep Connect updated, add some videos, add some screenshots so you can see what's available and what's coming and what might be available. So, do that with an iPad. Yep. Great. Okay. So I think this is going to be really exciting. It's really a big step forward in analytics, and it will allow us to embed analytics throughout the platform. So we're really quite excited about that. So stay tuned for that, and we look forward to giving you more information over the course of the quarter. So another area that we're focusing on is our data science and our AI engine. As most of you should know, we have a recommendation. We support recommendations, so you can have idea recommendations, both idea to idea. So if you're looking at an idea, we can recommend another idea. You can also have idea to challenge recommendation. So if you're looking at a challenge, your challenge manager, you've just launched your challenge, we can tell you if there's already some ideas out there, either implemented or unimplemented, rejected, put on hold, whatever it might be, that already exists that you might want to actually pull into your challenge. Well, we want to extend that. So one of the things we're working on, and we should be releasing this quarter, is the ability to recommend people. So let's say somebody's building an idea and they need help on that idea. We can recommend some people that might be able to help them build out that idea. So based on the types of ideas they've submitted, commented on, what their expertise is, we can give idea creators that information so they can really build out a robust team to make their idea even better. Likewise, if you're a challenge manager and you want to expand your pool of evaluators and you want to make sure that you're getting the best evaluators onto ideas, we're also looking to give you the ability to have recommendations for evaluators. And this is a way to make sure you don't get caught in an echo chamber and you don't always have the same people evaluating. It can also distribute the work across your organization, so you can get more people involved. You get them into the platform evaluating ideas. We can then also encourage them to participate in other ways. So it's really a way to expand your engagement and make sure that the right people are seeing the right ideas at the right time. In addition, another thing that we're working on is idea clustering. So I've talked to a lot of customers recently about idea clustering and what they really need to do. So one of the things that we want to do is, based on idea content, start to identify themes. So for example, there may be ideas going on all over the platform, all over your organization that are very similar or are a similar theme, but you're not actually running any challenges on that theme. And so what we can do is we can identify those themes and give you an idea about whether or not you should be considering running a challenge on that theme. Or it could be that, you're running a challenge and we can cluster ideas so that we can start to say in the early stages of the challenge, you know what? Here is a group of ideas, 5 or 6 ideas that are essentially the same idea. So rather than evaluating them as 6 separate ideas, evaluate them as a single idea and take the best of each, because they're basically the same idea. So it prevents duplication, but also more importantly, it ensures consistency of evaluation, because if you sent those 6 ideas to 6 different evaluators, they might come back with 6 different opinions, and then you might have inconsistent answers. So instead you can cluster them together and then get all those evaluators looking at them as one. So that is something that we're working on. What I will be doing is I will be introducing this first in a beta. So if this is something that you're particularly interested in and would like to participate in the beta, what I would say is let us know. You can let your CSM know. You can send an email to support@wazoku.com. Let us know this is something you'd particularly interested in. And when we're ready for the beta, we'll reach out to you and ask you to participate. So that's some of the areas that we're working on data science. So you should start to see some of the recommendations coming this quarter and some of the bigger pieces coming early next quarter. Another big area, and I know a lot of people have given us this feedback, is around our user experience and making it more consistent and helping to drive adoption across your organizations. And there's a couple of, we're really looking at this, and we're really trying to make sure that everything is consistent, everything down to language, that if we use a term once, we use it consistently across the entire platform. Look and feel. So, if you look at a table once and you go someplace and there's a table, they look similar, so that people become really used to what it looks like. They understand what's happening. Another thing that we're trying to do is we're really revamping our navigation. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and we appreciate that feedback from our customers, that the navigation isn't always as clear as it could be, particularly as you've got more complex setups where you've got communities embedded inside communities. so that, challenges inside that, and people get a little bit lost. So we're working on the first bit we're working on is our navigation. We should start presenting some of our navigation solutions through Connect in the coming weeks. So please look out for that and give us your feedback. So that's the first area in the platform. But another thing that we're doing, which will even help, it isn't specifically about the platform, but it is about embedding content to help users move through the platform. So we're going to embed walkthroughs. So if I'm a new user and I'm a little bit lost, we can have contextual help. You can click on a link right within the platform. You can see a video that takes you through step-by-step how you're doing this. So let's say, for example, I'm a new challenge manager. It's my first challenge, or I haven't done a challenge in 6 months and I've forgotten how to do something. Well, we can do two things. We can give you step-by-step instructions. So you say, oh, I can't remember how to configure my workflow. Well, we can give you those step-by-step instructions right within the platform. It makes the challenge manager self-sufficient. So you as an organization don't have to be providing a lot of training, and don't have to be doing the challenge setup for them. You can give people autonomy, which is great. It can also encourage more people to feel much more self-sufficient. Everybody likes to be able to say, I can do this. I don't need to go and ask for somebody's help. So we can have that step-by-step, but more importantly, we can add content about best practices. So I'm looking at my challenge and I don't quite have the engagement that I would like. And so how can I increase my engagement? Well, they can look at some of the best practice content with ideas about how do you have a communications plan? How do you encourage advocates who will help draw more people in? How do you use some of the functionality in the platform, such as app mentioning, sharing to a homepage, to encourage people to see your content and participate? So we're going to build all of that into the platform. So this is something that actually Catherine, our director of customer experience, is driving. And so over the coming months, you'll start to see first our knowledge base getting much more comprehensive and much more easy to use, and then building this content and putting it inside the platform to really encourage engagement. So the last area that we are looking at is enhanced site configuration. And this is for you as admin users. We know that, as I was talking about earlier with the delights, and I was talking about the weekly digest and the daily summary, and that's a configuration option we're putting in. We want to more and more make it easier for you as admins to configure your platform. So one of the first things that we're doing is the weekly digest, the daily summary, but then also language settings. So for anybody who's using multiple languages, one of the first things that we're going to do is allow you to configure what languages you actually want to support. So we currently support 19 languages. For a lot of you, you may only need 2 or 3 languages. So to prevent somebody from, having fun and going and choosing a language you don't support and then being surprised that none of the content is in that language, what we will be doing is allowing you to select a subset of the languages you want to support, so that you make sure that you have consistency across the platform. And so when your users come in, they can choose French and English. They can't choose Chinese and Romanian, because you're never going to have content in those languages. So it's about giving you back that more control, and we'll keep adding more and more configuration options over the coming weeks and months and quarters, so that you have more control over your platform. So those are the big things that we're working on. These are just the highlights. Again, you'll see, small delights coming in and other things that we can fit in a particular month or sprint. But these are the big areas that we're concentrating on. We'd love to get your feedback. So do please go into Connect, take a look, see what's in there, ask questions, give feedback. It really helps us make a better platform for you. There is one other thing I want to announce. We have, as you all, anybody who's been with us for the last year should know, we stopped support of IE11 in March of last year. We did this primarily because it is no longer a secure browser, and we think it's very important to always be thinking about the security of your data. So we officially stopped supporting it in March of last year, but we recognized not everybody had moved off of it yet. And so we continued to, although we don't support it anymore, we didn't actively prevent you from using it. However, we've reached a point now in order for us to ensure security and performance that we, as of the end of this month, we will no longer support IE 11 or other outdated browsers. And the primary reasons for this are security. We just can no longer ensure that your data will be secure if somebody accesses it through an outdated browser. The vendors aren't supporting those browsers, and so it's just too much of a risk. So if you still have users, and we have had a significant drop off of users using older outdated browsers, but if you do still have some people, what they will get is a message that will tell them that it's no longer supported and they actually won't be able to access the platform. But we think it's very important to protect your data and also to allow us to continue to develop the platform in a way that takes advantage of what more modern browsers allow. So that's what I had to share with you today. Does anybody have any other questions before we end? So it appears not. So everybody have a lovely day, and we'll talk soon.